Hello, welcome to Learn to Play Chess. This is lesson number 9. We've finished learning what all the pieces do. I just want to leave you with a few tips for the future and some basic strategy. Now, tips for the future, it's basic, just go out and play. Get somebody of your own ability, maybe somebody else you're learning with. By the way, a great way to learn yourself is when you've learnt a lesson, go and teach it to somebody else. Show them this video or teach it to them in the playground or at home one night. Teach them as well. It enforces your learning. Just start playing. Make mistakes together. Don't worry about losing. Also, play against other people who are better than you. I love chess and I'm often beaten at it by other people, but I like playing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't enforce the universe's opinion of you. Just play chess, enjoy it, and try to develop and learn. One of the things we need to do as we learn to play chess and as we develop is to learn to think ahead. At the beginning of a game of chess, if you're white, you've got any one of these pawns that can move 1 or 2 spaces, and you've got 2 knights, each of which can jump over to 2 spaces. So it's a limited number of options. But having made that move, what are you going to do next? How is the black going to respond to you, the other side? And in the middle of the game, there's all kinds of pieces all over the place. You've really got to look around. So first of all, if you're going to move a piece on your chessboard, think, is this piece going to be put in danger by this move? Are they going to be captured? Now sometimes we have to sacrifice a piece to make way. Sometimes we sacrifice a piece to let it be drawn out. Sometimes we put a piece forward, maybe a lesser piece like a pawn or a knight or a bishop, to be captured, to put that piece in our firing line of our queen or rook. So maybe you would sacrifice a bishop to tempt a queen to come out and capture that bishop so that you can then capture the queen with your rook. You've lost a bishop, but you've captured a queen. A far more important piece. Let's look at some opening moves. Sometimes I like to let my knight come up over the top, leave my pawn line as it is, and tempt my opposition to come out and do something while I've got all these other pieces protected behind the pawns. Sometimes, and people might argue with me about this, I like to bring out a pawn, maybe over 2 or 3 moves, and bring my rook out as well. And all of a sudden, I've got all of this line protected by the pawns and all of this line protected by that rook. Of course, if they're moving the pawn in front of their king, that rook is now in firing line from the queen. But it's just something to think about. One of the most common openings is to move the queen's pawn 2 paces forward. You then have your queen coming out and getting access. You can have your bishop as well, even your king if you want to, and of course the knights and other pawns as you want. I'm going to show you an opening style. Now the thing is that as you're building these pieces, your opposition can make a move after every move you make. So sometimes your pieces can be taken while you're doing this. So you need to look up and see what your opponent is doing as well. But it's a good example of how we can start to set the battlefield. Because we play chess in 3 phases. 1, we are setting the field. We are getting our pieces into position. The second phase is then the war. Things start happening. There's lots of moves to take pieces, and pieces are removed, which brings us to the third phase, the end game, where we try to wrap things up and force their king into checkmate. I'm going to show you an opening sequence. You bring your first 2 pawns out. Bring the bishop out there and this bishop out here. Move the knights into a position where they can be ready for attack. Bring the queen out. Castle the king. Bring this rook along and forward. Now, of course, that's a lot of moves. In that time, if you're not looking at what you're doing, your opposition is taking pieces left, right and centre. But this gives you an idea of how we can set up our board. So at the front, we've got a bishop on each corner, ready for attacking. We've got 2 pawns, shielding the rook and the queen, ready to attack when they can. You've got knights ready to leap forward or to the side. You've still got pawns in attacked, and you've got your rook here defending the king. That is an ideal situation from which to start launching your attack. And I really must stress, of course, while you're concentrating building this lovely pattern and getting this wonderful strategic position, the opposition is going to be taking pieces away from you. So it's very rare that you can actually get to this position. But that's something to work on, thinking about getting pieces forward in the right position whilst protecting pieces ready for you to start the onslaught of taking your opposition's pieces off the board. When should you risk a piece? When is it worth it? Well, these are the pieces other than the king. You've got the pawn on the left, the knight, the bishop, then the rook, then the queen. And they go in order of importance, left to right. You don't score points in chess unless you're playing some kind of league basis where a win might be 3 points and then you have for and against points like you have in a football league. Goal difference, goals for, goals against, what's the difference? But to help you understand the value of the pieces, they do have an understood value. So the pawn over here we consider to have 1 point in value. The knight and the bishop are 3 points each. The rook we consider to be worth 5 points, and the queen 9 points. So in other words, if you are making a move, normally we don't mind risking a pawn to tempt any other piece forward that we can capture, because we know a pawn is a cheap value item. But what about the rook? What about the bishop? What about the knight? Well, just think, if I sacrifice a 3-point piece that then gets captured by a 5-point piece, but that means I can then capture that 5-point piece, I'm 2 points up. I've lost a 3-pointer but scored a 5-pointer. As I say, that doesn't help you win the game, but you've got a much more valuable piece compared to the piece that you've lost. And this just helps us think when it is worth to put a piece forward that might be risky, or to tempt a move, to tempt your opposition to do something that's going to cause them to get into trouble a little bit later on. And this is all part of this forward-thinking, strategic planning you've got to do in chess, which, to be quite honest, I'm rubbish at. I can think a few moves ahead, but I'm always being caught out. But don't worry, I love it. Play it. I can bring you so far in learning to play chess. Hopefully you've got everything you now need to go out and play, enjoy yourself. I think it's now time to learn from somebody else about strategic thinking, because they can probably do it far more better than I can. That being said, let me just give you one more tip. Go out and play. In my day, I had to have a board and I would make one positional play, and then I'd make the move from the opposing team and I'd be back to my team, then I'd play the opposing team. I was happy, I learnt it was great. But today you've got so much more opportunity. Get an app on your phone or your tablet, get a computer program, play online. You can do so much. And the wonderful thing about playing the computer games of chess is that some of them have the rules, some of them have teaching modes on it, and you can normally always switch on a function that doesn't allow you to make an illegal move, which you would do if you were playing both sides of the chessboard like I did when I was 10 years old, however much fun that was. So that wraps up Dad Tube's Learn to Play Chess series. What I will do is make one more episode just to do a quick overview of everything that we've learnt. The positions, how they move, the basic rules, and it will be just a very quick run through. So it's a revision, a reminder in the future. So it will be quite a lot all in one episode, but if you've gone away from the game for a few months and your mind's a little bit rusty, you can come back to that and you can just watch it once and you've got everything there without me explaining too much as I go along. That being said, thank you very much for sticking with me with this course. I've enjoyed making it. I enjoyed learning. I've enjoyed teaching my sons to play this. I enjoy playing. Just get out there, enjoy the game, have fun. You never know where it might take you. It takes a few hours to learn, but you could be playing and developing and enjoying your game of chess for the rest of your life. Goodbye.